So hi guys, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat at nandito ulit ako para mag-discuss ng panibago nating topic tungkol sa developing SQL databases at ang topic natin for tonight ay ang implicit and explicit transactions creating save points. So let's start. So this module provides us with instruction and devices to develop our hands-on skills on the following topic. So for tonight, we have 3 topics na i-cover. Number 1 is yung analyzing the effect of implicit transaction on a transact SQL statement, and number 2, creating an explicit transaction on transact SQL statement, and number 3, implementing save points in transaction. So in our exercise 1, we will analyze the implicit transaction on transact SQL statement. So ano nga ba yung transaction? A transaction, it refers to a sequence of operation on database. So this operation from a single unit and run in logical order, either manually or automatically. So the transaction as a whole unit can either be executed successfully or may fail for certain reason. So there are 2 types of transaction mode. Ito yung implicit and ito yung explicit. So let's start with task 1, monitor an implicit transaction. So in this task, we will check the effect of enabling the implicit transaction mode when executing transact SQL statement. So ensure you have powered on the required devices and connect to Plab SQL 01. So from the Plab SQL desktop, click Start and click Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So from the server type, dapat naka-database engine tayo and connect natin to sa Plab SQL 01. Alright, and then click Connect. So the SQL Server Management Studio windows open. So in the Object Explorer, click to expand the databases folder. Ayan. So to select the database from the list, click natin yung AdventureWorks DW 2016 CTP3 and create tayo ng bagong query natin. So right, the new query pane is open. In step 6, turn on the implicit transaction mode in the SQL Server database engine. Yan. So in this query, the command to turn on implicit transaction is set. So this enables the database engine to automatically control the transaction. So F5, execute natin. So may lumabas na message na command completed successfully. So note, when the implicit transaction mode is turned on, SQL Server automatically begins a transaction specifying the following statement. Ano yun? Alter table, truncate table, create, delete, drop, grant, insert, open, select, and update. So create a new table, dim product underscore temp, and add its from dim product table in the AdventureWorks database natin. So perform this following the query. So to perform the type of the following query, go to previous. Okay. So create tayo ng panibagong query. Alright, so this given query creates a new table named dim product underscore temp. So execute natin. Yan, so 600 rows affected. So tama tayo. So F9 tayo. So roll back the transaction to erase all data modification made from the start of the transaction. Alright, then run natin. So the rollback transaction has no corresponding begin transaction. Okay. Sorry, mali pala yung ginawa ko. So below pala. So step 8. Tama ba? Tama. Yan. Ay, mali. Alright. Mali. Ayan. And then, step 9. To perform this type, the following command below the query that you type in step 8. Okay. Ayan. Then, execute natin. Ayan. So, there is already an object named dim product underscore temp in our database. So, step 10 tayo. Confirm that the rollback command has rolled back the entire transaction, which is in this example, the creation of dim product underscore temp table natin. So, to perform this type, the following query below the rollback command in the same query pane. So, hindi natin pala ito i-delete. Yan. So, in this given query, it attempts to select the records from dim product underscore temp table natin. Then, execute. So, lumabas na message, there's already an object named dim product underscore temp in our database. So, tama tayo. Okay. So, recreate the table dim product underscore temp and loads its content from dim product table natin. So, in the AdventureWorks 11.2.6.3. So, to perform this following query in the new query pane, that is already open. So, sa baba ulit nito. Alright, then F5 natin. Execute. Tama ba? Yan, so there is already an object named dim product underscore temp in our database. So, step 12 tayo. Commit the transaction manually to make the changes made in the transaction permanent and end the transaction as well. So, to perform this following command below the query that you type in step 11. Alright. Then execute. So, there's an already name talaga dim product underscore temp table natin. So, step 13, to confirm whether the changes made in the previous transactions are made permanent, type the following query in the same query pane that is open. So, run. Run natin. So, yan, there is an already name talaga. I don't know why. So, step 14 tayo. To turn off the implicit transaction option in the SQL server, type the following query in the same query pane. So, execute natin. Ayan. So, proceed tayo. Next. So, in exercise 2, we will be creating an implicit transaction and transact SQL statement. So, an explicit transaction refers to the method in which the user starts the execution of transact SQL statement by specifying the begin transaction statement at the start of transaction and commit transaction or rollback transaction at the end of a transaction. So, when the execution of a transaction is unsuccessful due to errors, then you typically end the transaction with the rollback transaction statement. So, state 1, create a new fact internet series underscore test table natin. Import the data from fact internet series table in the AdventureWorks DW6 series. So, select the data from the newly created fact internet tails to verify the output. So, open tayo na panabago nating query. Alright. Yun, so in this given transaction, the first select query creates a table name fact series underscore test natin and loads it when the data from the fact series tables. The second select the query retrieves the record from the newly created natin. So, next is to execute. Yan, so the query runs successfully and the new table is created and the records from the table are displayed in the result window. So, step 3, create an explicit transaction by explicitly defining the start and the end of the transaction. So, type the following explicit transaction that deletes the record with the product key 310 natin. So, the begin transaction statement at the start and the rollback transaction statement at the end. So, this implies that the deletion of the record with the product key 310 needs to be rolled back at the end of this transaction. So, type natin ito sa same query na naka-open natin ngayon. Yan, so to run the batch and select execute natin. Yan, so there's an ordinary functions underscore test table in the database natin. So 1 rows affected tayo. Yan, so to confirm the deletion of the record with the product key value 310 of the following query in the query pane that is already open. Ayan. So, to run, execute natin. Ayan. So, there's an origin. Okay. So, 1 rows affected. So, replace the rollback transaction command in the transaction with the commit transaction command to perform the required deletion. So, to perform type the following query in the query pane that is already open. So, F5 natin. Yan. So, paulit-ulit lang na may 1 rows affected. So, to confirm the deletion of the record with the product key 310, from this step na natin ulit to. So, to run, F5 natin. Ayan talaga eh. So, 0 rows affected na tayo. So, next. So, in exercise 3, we will implementing save points for rolling back transaction. So, a user can divide a big transaction into different sections and define save points for each section. So, when a save point is implemented along with rollback, the part of the transaction with the same point can be alone rollback. So, save points can be used in location where there are fewer chances of occurrence of errors. The save points can reduce the time taken to complete the transaction by rolling back to the save point instead of rolling back in the beginning of the transaction. So, task 1, we will use save points in a transaction. So, drop the existing faculty and sales table and created the previous exercise. Now, create the faculty and sales underscore table again. Alright. Create tayo naman panibago natin query. So, the given select query loads vacancies table with the records of vacancies with the specified order date. So, run natin. Yan. So, displays the number of rows affected. So, we have 5 rows affected. And step 3, retrieve the records from the vacancy sales underscore test table natin to perform the following query below the previous. Type the following query below the previous query in the same query pane. Alright, then run natin. Yan. So, the query success is displayed. So, it shows the columns listed on the basis of order date natin. So, step 4, to continue this session and delete the records in the vacancies in the created save point to mark the transaction. So, to perform this, type the following query below the query that you type in step 3 in the same query pane. So, in this query, you have marked a save point transaction 8 to the section of the transaction that deletes a record sa ating faculty and sales test table natin with the specified product key. So, run natin. So, run. Ayan. So, the query ran successfully in the message window is displayed. Alright, then step 5. To confirm the transaction is successful and the specified rows are deleted in the continuous table natin, we will type the following, this query sa ating nakabukas na query pane. So, run natin. Yan. So, the query ran successful. This is found. Ayan. Pala sa baba. Alright. Then, step 6. To continue the session, delete the columns. So, to create another save point, the following query below that the current query. Okay. So, F5 natin. Ayan. So, step 8, select the records from the continuous table natin to verify that records with the product key 310 are deleted and roll back transaction to save point transaction B. Then, F5 natin. Then, step 9, to verify the rollback of the transaction within transaction B is successful, select the records from the confidential save and then roll back. So, execute natin. So, I don't know if bakit pare-parehas nang lumalabas. So, dito sa step 10, for sure, parehas lang din. So, to confirm that transaction under save point transaction in transactions B are successful rollback. So, type the following query below the current query. Tama naman. Ano kayang error ko? So, execute natin. Oh, so same pa rin. Why? So, yun. Summary, we covered the following topics in this module, yung 3 topics natin for tonight. So, thank you for listening.